vacation policies. And yes, there is already talk that if all else fails, the best last solution could be just a 1-year extension of that DACA program, maybe a little bit longer than that, to get people through the midterm elections, and they can just keep fighting over it into next year.
And if the Senate does pass a bipartisan deal, there is still the House. House Speaker Paul Ryan has said he's committed to a bipartisan DACA fix. What do you think could happen there?
The House is essentially they're not going to really move forward with anything until they know what the Senate can pass and if the president will support it. This is a much tougher vote for Republicans in the House. This is such a core issue to their base voters. Paul Ryan doesn't want to put anything on the floor that doesn't have the support of the president that would make it an election year issue. So he wants to make sure the president's on board and it is certain to pass before he says what the House will do.
NPR congressional correspondent Sue Davis, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, let's turn now to another issue President Trump has been talking about for a long time. Back in the summer of 2015, when he announced his candidacy, Trump had this to say about the sorry state of American infrastructure. Mrs. Soil.
We're becoming a third world country because of our infrastructure, our airports, our roads, everything.
In his State of the Union address last month, he laid out his vision for what he wants to do about that.
We will build gleaming new roads, bridges, highways, railways, and waterways all across our land. And we will do it with American heart, American hands, and American grit.
The price tag to execute this vision, $1.5 trillion. That's according to President Trump's plan, which was unveiled today, and which states that it will be up to state and local governments to fork over almost all of that money, $1.3 trillion. DJ Gribbin is the president's special assistant for infrastructure policy. When I spoke to him today, we talked about that funding strategy, but first I asked, what's the White House's top priority for new infrastructure?
One thing that makes the president's program different than what we've done historically is that we're essentially saying to states and communities, listen, you tell us what your priorities are, and then let us respond accordingly. So instead of saying, we're going to focus just on highways, we're going to focus just on ports, we're going to focus just on clean drinking water, we want to come to us and give them the flexibility to choose what their priorities are.
Okay, let's go to the money question. This is a plan that would generate $1.5 trillion, generate being the key word, because the federal government is only offering to pony up a fraction of that. What gives you confidence that local governments and the private sector can or will take on funding the rest of that?
Well, so I spent, prior to this rule, I spent a couple of decades developing projects all across America. And one of the biggest challenges you hit is the uncertainty around federal funding. So I think in conversations that we've had in the last year, it's apparent that cities and states and counties are to invest in infrastructure, and they're sort of very excited that the federal government's going to be a partner with them in that.
But let me push back on this idea that cities, counties, states are, I'm sure that they are eager to have new infrastructure projects and investment, but that they are eager to pony up all of this money for it. I mean, what ideas do you have for them? These are governments not flush with cash in the first place to help make up this huge gap between the kind of money you would like to be able to throw at this problem and the kind of money that the federal government is investing.
To be honest, I think that question sort of has a mistaken premise, which is the federal government has access to funds that state and local governments don't. All of these funds come from taxpayers, right? Whether they're federal funds, state funds, or local funds. And if you go out and you ask the public, where do they want to invest, they have much more confidence that if they write a check locally, that money will be spent in a way that they can be held accountable for.
So inherent in this plan is more state than local taxes?
Well, inherent in this plan is more revenue raised at the state and local level. We would leave it up to the states and localities in terms of how they want to raise the revenue.
We interviewed former Republican Congressman Ray LaHood this morning on NPR. Ray LaHood went on to be Transportation Secretary under President.
What kind of number does freeway
You respond to this point that he raises.
The reason we have an interstate system
You mean the 6005?
is because our national government made investments. The reason that Europe and Asia have some of the best rail
Are we gonna
systems
go
is because
left?
the national government made a commitment.
DJ Gribbin, he's raising the point, national leadership is needed.